Right now, South Carolina Senator Lindsey Graham. Senator, good to see you. Good morning.
Good morning. That's a lot to talk about.
That is a lot to talk about. Well, I was watching that last night, and I thought, wow, there's a lot of momentum around Ossoff, but he couldn't do it. What are your thoughts on what happened?
Well, he got about the same vote as Hillary Clinton. So Karen's a good lady. I know her. I live in South Carolina. I speak Georgian. So the bottom line is Hollywood versus Georgia. I like Georgia's chances. This guy is an outsider. He's, carries himself well. The bottom line is I think it will consolidate around the Republican candidate. Price won the district by 20-something points, Trump by 1.5 points. If she can put together the Tom Price coalition, then I think she wins going away. But this is an important referendum sort of on where we're headed. In the South.
When you heard Ossoff talking there a minute ago, he was like, no outside money. Meanwhile, it's all outside money.
He got $8 million.
So I didn't understand how he
$46 came from Georgia.
Well, he's from the outside.
But it's like Hollywood money and George Soros money, not from Georgians.
No, I think he got $8 million and like 12 votes came from Georgia. I mean, it was an unbelievable amount of money. So all the mad liberals are sending him money. And here's what I would hope, that people that want the Republican Party to succeed in cutting your taxes and reforming health care and keeping the world from falling apart, you need to send money to Georgia and help Karen handle, because she's a good lady.
That raises an issue, because the Democrats want people to think that this was a referendum on President Trump. But is it instead a referendum on maybe Paul Ryan's leadership of the Republican Party? Because if you're saying, hey, vote for Republicans, we're going to cut your taxes and reform health care, well, that hadn't gotten done yet.
No, it hasn't.
And actually, they're stumbling and bumbling in D.C.
Well, we'll get it done. The one thing I'd say about health care, let it collapse and ask Democrats to help you fix the problem they created. I don't think all Republicans alone are going to fix health care much better than Obamacare. We're divided as a party between Medicaid states and non-Medicaid states. I think President Trump's idea early on was that health care should be bipartisan. It's still the right idea. When it comes to the Republican Party watching your wallet and the Democratic Party watching your wallet, if you can't figure that one out, then you're in trouble.
Well, then why don't we kickstart the economy, do tax cuts, then worry about health care reform, then tax reform? So
I'm with you.
It's because of
$900
billion. It's because of $900 billion. That's what the president told us last week.
We get that, but worry about that later. Just do Bush-era tax cuts, right? The 10-year, and then you get the economy going. Then you can do health care, then tax reform.
So you agree with this?
I agree with here's where we're at. We're not going to get revenue from a health care bill. We're not going to be able to fix it anytime soon and lower those taxes and have that revenue to work on the tax cut bill. We're not going to do the border adjusted tax, because I can't explain it in 30 seconds. That's $1 trillion. So what will we do? We'll actually cut taxes without blowing a hole in the deficit. I believe in dynamic scoring. But if you did, say, 25% on the corporate side, lowered individual rates, cleaned up the tax code, that would be a signal to the economy, along with regulatory reform, that you're back in business. America's a good place to do business. Throw infrastructure on top of it, repatriation to pay for it. Next thing you know, you got a growing economy.
But it sounds beautiful on paper, and yet this
is
not.
Beautiful the way I said it.
It sounds
really
beautiful, but the truth is it's not happening.
It's a beautiful
So,
bill.
I mean, who's going to take responsibility if government gets nothing done in 2017?
Oh, we're going to get creamed, and we should. We own the whole thing. So here's what I tell my Republican colleagues. We're not going to get there from here, Republican-only health care reform. Let it collapse, have a bipartisan replacement of Obamacare with the goal of re-energizing the private sector health care markets. That's my number one goal. I don't mind helping people buy insurance who are moderate and low-income Americans. I just want them to buy it from the private sector. More choice, not less. When it comes to taxes, make us more competitive on the corporate side. Lower rates the best you can. Don't blow a hole in the deficit. Take the infrastructure bill, pay for it by repatriating this $3 trillion overseas, and marry up tax cuts with infrastructure, and you'll get 60 votes. There are plenty of Democrats who would vote for a tax cut on the corporate side, but they're not going to vote for the board adjusted tax.
What about all the deductions? What about the deduction?
Go into them and
eliminating
clean
the
them
deduction
out.
of state income tax, eliminating the deduction on property.
Well, let me tell you, from a South Carolina point of view, capping or eliminating property tax deductions would be good, because y'all are crazy up here in New York. Your property taxes, your income taxes are through the roof, and red states like mine are subsidizing high-tax blue states.
Maria, I just wanted to point out there is a report on Axios this morning saying that Gary Cohn has privately said that he is warm to the idea of eliminating the local and state tax deduction to pay for tax cuts.
I am red hot on that.
Yeah. We're red hot on that.
You know why? Because it'll make local government and state government act better. Right now, the federal government is basically taking 35% of local taxes and property taxes and letting you writing it off at the expense of states like mine, who have
right. If your state keep increasing your taxes because people are like, great, we're going to deduct it against our federal, so the federal doesn't get it. So then other smaller states and red states lose.
Crack cocaine. It's
for local government. It's California, New York, and
Take
New Jersey.
it away.
Well, you know your colleagues are going to say, look, my people, they pay $25,000 in property taxes. I can't do it. I can't face my constituents if we eliminate the property deduction. You have another fight on your hands.
That's their problem, not
No,
mine.
it's the people's problem, because if you guys don't get anything done.
Tell the people up here in New York that you should rebel against a tax system where you got to pay like $25,000 to own a home. That's ridiculous.
It is ridiculous.
You got nobody to blame but yourself. Stop looking to South Carolina to fix New York. We're tired of it. We love New York, but we're not going to underwrite your high taxes anymore.
Senator, can
well, Senator Graham,
y'all are on your own.
This is good.
Well, we're all represented by
property taxes and state income taxes.
Right.
Why should I subsidize craziness up here? I'm not going to do it anymore. We in South Carolina, we're taking our ball and we're going home. No more. We'll put a cap on it at the minimum. I'd like to eliminate it. That's a lot of money.
Well, maybe you need to talk to Governor Cuomo.
Call me. You're running ads about how great it is to do business in New York. I'm not so sure that those ads are true. Just look at the tax structure in this city. I mean, you got to make $1 million to live here. How do firemen and policemen and nurses and doctors?
Yeah, and they only keep going up, and we're not seeing the benefit of it.
and businesses are leaving, people are leaving to go down south. When you judge the movement of where people are going.
Everybody doesn't talk like me, but most do.
Let me switch gears. You made so many great points on the domestic agenda. Vice President Mike Pence headed to Jakarta right now.
I want this guy over here with a boom to come to Myrtle Beach.
Following his tough talk on North Korea yesterday. Now, he was addressing the troops, Senator, on board the USS Ronald Reagan yesterday, south of Tokyo. He issued another warning, vowing an overwhelming and effective response to any use of nuclear weapons. But also he assured Japan that the U.S. wants a peaceful resolution. Watch this. Got to get your reaction, Senator.
The United States of America will always seek peace, but under President Trump, the shield stands guard and the sword stands ready.
Your thoughts?
I'm the happiest dude in America. In 80 days, Trump has reset the world and undone a lot of the damage it took 8 years for Obama to do. To have the Vice President of the United States go to the DMZ and look across the border and tell Kim Jong-il, the nut job, we're not going to let you get a missile to deliver a nuclear weapon to the American homeland. We don't want a war. But for 20 years, Republicans and Democrats have got it wrong with North Korea. 20 years ago, they didn't have any nuclear program. Today, they've got about 20 nuclear weapons. They could make 7 to 10 this year. The one thing they have not been able to do is develop a missile to hit the American homeland. And I'll make a prediction that Donald Trump will never allow that to happen. And they're 2 or 3 years at the most away from that technology being mature. So if I were China, I would listen to Trump. I would tell the puppet, your puppet in North Korea, stop trying to reach America with a missile with a nuclear weapon on top of it, because Donald Trump's going to hit you if you keep trying. I think China could change North Korea's behavior, but they've never believed in China that any American president would use military force. If they don't believe it about Trump, they're crazy.
And 3 presidents tried to do it, to try to get China to rein in North Korea.
Let me tell you about
and they were unsuccessful.
Presidents. Okay, Obama sent B-2s to go up and down the border when they did the nuclear test. You know, they yawned, they laughed in North Korea. If Ronald Reagan had sent a rowboat, they would have stopped. It's who you are. After Syria, his willingness to put more troops into Afghanistan, this letter to Iran telling the Ayatollah, you may be in compliance with the nuclear agreement, but you're sure not in compliance with everything else. You're the largest state sponsor of terrorism. You humiliated our sailors. You're test firing missiles in violation of UN sanctions after the nuclear deal. We're coming after you as the largest state sponsor of terrorism. I am so pleased that we're leading from the front. And if I were North Korea and China, I would really reevaluate where this thing is headed. We're on a collision course with North Korea, and let me tell you who loses that collision, North Korea.
Wow.
I don't want a war with North Korea, but right now the war would be contained over there. The day they get a missile, all of us live in fear of this nut job, and Donald Trump's not going to let that happen. Mr. President, you're doing a great job. Keep it up.
Wow, sounds like you're warming up to President Trump.
Well, let me tell you, he calls late and early. Call during the day, you know, like he calls at midnight, he calls at 7.
He calls you at weird times?
Yeah, but
Hey,
he
at
never
least
sleeps.
he's not giving your phone number out anymore.
Well, I tell you,
At least he's not
the new
tweeting
one.
at you, too.
He's got the new one. So I told him, you know how you like getting up early? I don't. But the main thing is he is really resetting the world in the right way. Nobody wants a war. But if you allow this North Korean thug to get a missile, we'll all regret it.
All right, we'll leave it there. Senator Lindsey Graham, always a pleasure. Thank you so much, sir. Good to see you. We'll be right back. Stay with us.